Hello everybody, I'm just doing some more work on our pain section, and today I want to talk about emotional pain. Emotional pain is different to physical, mental, psychological, even astral pain, which I'll talk about in my other podcasts. Today I want to do the emotional pain. Emotional pain is what most of us have. No one seems to escape from it, living down here with all the emotions. And emotional pain can cause a lot of what seems to be physical pain, but it actually isn't physical because the origin is emotional. For example, I remember one day I came out and had a migraine headache, and one of my young sons then, because I was much younger than myself, said to me, "So who are you angry with?" It just came out of his mouth, and I'm like, whoa. And then I realised who I was angry with. So that emotion of being angry had given me my migraine. And I want you to start looking at these emotions. There's all the anger ones: anger, hate, resentment, rage, that little group. And then there's the sadness ones. There's grief and sadness and disappointment and loss. Then there will be the other group, which is the fear ones. So it's fear and terror, and trauma usually comes in there, and anxiety. And then there's the stress area. So you've got all the emotional stress you can have from things. So emotional upset. So anything that's emotional that you're feeling can actually affect you. For example, sometimes when people have a bladder infection, it's because they were actually literally pissed off with someone and got angry, and then it affected the bladder. I'll often get what it is. In my case, I'll get the feeling. You're probably the same. You think, oh, I've got that because I'm emotionally upset, now I can't eat. These emotional responses in the body are just there to, as a channel, I suppose. It's the way we come through and we process it, and it comes out as a sore back or not feeling supported, or if we're having trouble with our throat, maybe we're upset with someone. There's all tears blocked up in our throat or our heart. We can have heart pain from emotional pain. The quickest way to remedy it is to do a lot of work on your emotions. You'll have less pain in your body. You can actually ask with your pendulum or kinesiology, is this pain I've got physical or emotional, mental, psychological, astral? You can ask that and it'll tell you, and then you'll know if it's emotional. You have to go then find what the emotion is and release it. For example, fear will bring a lot of constriction around the body. If you are fearful, it sort of holds things up and it stops things moving. Anger will actually make everything be hotter and more heat. It's a different sort of pain. And loss will be like a cold, I call it a cold pain in the body. If you know what it is and where it came from, then you just go and work on that. For example, if you had a lot of anxiety about something and now you've got an upset stomach, then the upset stomach is because of the anxiety, possibly. Therefore, you go and work on the anxiety, because that's the emotional pain that you're getting. Because pain is actually just an energy, but it can have a source from an emotion. You can actually fall over in the backyard and hurt your knee, and that will be a physical pain. But I'm talking about these ones which are coming from ourselves, about how we feel. Often people are in emotional pain. I think emotional pain is probably the pain that most people have. It's the most prevalent. It's the thing that we seem to have as humans very much so. Physical, not so much. People aren't always falling up in the backyard. But you can have things that upset you every day, and people who upset you and situations that upset you. That's why I keep talking about release. Because when we let go of these things, how we do it, whichever modality you like to release it, letting it go. Even writing is really good. If you're really angry with someone, you write it out, you get rid of the anger. It's not so much in your aura, and it's not going to give you that pain. Because all of these cause pain, and people don't realise that a lot of the things that they have is from an emotion. I remember some person I knew telling me how she's had this growth in her face, like a benign cancer, and the first word I got was anger, because she's angry, and that's where it was, and that's what came up. And I feel that if you tune in, you better get what emotion you should go and work on or want to work on, and then release that. Now you can do it in a general release from your aura, or you can go to the actual spot. So if you think you've got anger in your throat, or resentment, you can go and release that and use your different ones to release it. Knowing that that emotion is there and is upsetting your body chemistry to a degree is good, because then you can let it go. It'll come back in some ways and you'll have to go back sometimes and do more work, but at least you're letting it go. These things, these emotions that we feel, we're not going to escape them. We're going to have them. They're going to be ongoing to our last breath, but it doesn't mean we have to hold on to them in the body so then they manifest physically, because that's what I'm trying to say to you. They come in and then they manifest physically. It looks like you've got a sore knee, but you've really just got a lot of anger that you put in your knee. And we could have put these things in those places when we were little, so we don't even have a conscious memory about these things happening. And that's really interesting too, because we have this memory that, oh sorry, that's my phone. We have this memory from back there, in a sense, but we don't know anymore what it is. We can't remember it like in our actual daily mind, and that's okay, but we can actually still get rid of it. So maybe you had a difficult childhood and you had a lot of emotions, or you've had some difficult partnerships or relationships and you've still got those emotions in you, then they're going to make trouble in the body. I know somebody, and when she was married to this guy, she had all this eczema all the time. She always had eczema, and I think that was anger with him, living with him. And as soon as they separated, she never had eczema ever again. I always thought that was sort of funny. This is what the work is for now, the emotional part. You can usually tell by how you speak. If you're not sure, listen to what you say. If you're saying things, oh, I'm really so upset with them, or mad with them, or they annoy me, or I was really disappointed, that's where that emotion is. Then you can go and find it. There are lists of the emotions on the internet if you want to check them and go through them. However, you'll probably know what your main ones are, and that's what's causing you the pain. You don't have to have this pain. You don't have to have emotional pain. You can have the emotion which gives you the pain, but then you can release it. And you can also do some tapping and release work on the emotional pain you have, just as a general unit in your body. So it's okay for you to go, that you're going to tap out your emotional pain, release it, let it go. Because that's underneath these physical things around your body. We are emotional beings. We are living in an emotional, huge myriad of emotions every day. And even when we're watching programs and seeing things on the internet, there will be emotions that we'll be feeling that are attached to those situations, not just the people you meet. Therefore, you need to be aware of that. You don't want to have too much of an overload. So if you've really been angry lately about things, don't watch something which is all about fighting and anger, because you have even more of it. Or if you've been really depressed about something and upset, don't go and watch the sad movie and play all the sad songs this week. Just try and get rid of those emotions. I'm doing it all the time. I always do it. I do it before I go to sleep, letting go of the fear, the anxiety, the anger, anything that I think I'm dealing with at the time. Sometimes you'll have a really weird thing where you do every emotion except the one that's the problem. I think that's really funny. So I think you need to be aware of that. I've done that, where I've gone through all these emotions, sort of done them all, and then the one that's the actual problem, I have sort of like a block with it. And I'm like, oh man, I didn't do resentment. And I go and check resentment and like it's really big. Or I go and check emotional upset and it's really huge. And I'm like, yeah, that was pretty obvious, but I missed it. I don't know what it is. You be aware of that. You might be missing some of them. And that's also why I have my little list, because that stops me from skipping any of them that are there. And don't feel bad about if you have the emotion of hate or rage, or these kind of emotions that our society calls very negative, because we're just human and we're going to have them. And they could also be a carryover. It could be coming from past life too, but they could be from early life or even yesterday. So don't be feeling bad about that. You're just a human. Just get rid of it and release it. Letting go of your emotions will let go of the emotional pain. That's what this podcast is about, because they're making the pain. And when you let them go, then the pain should dissipate or go. We can also have places where we collect more than others. Some parts of our body, we will tend to stash things there. So you might put a lot in your stomach, or you might be a person who puts it in the bladder, or someone puts it in the heart. So you might have to go back to those places and double check, because you might have a bit too much in those areas. We seem to stash it all over the place. There are little hidey holes, I suppose, so we can't deal with it right now because we're at work. We just put it there, but then we forget it's there. I think that a lot of the things that we have are emotionally based, I really do. And the more we can see that, the more then we can let it go. Ask your guides to help you know what the emotion is. I ask, and I usually just get it in big letters in my head. And I'm like, okay, that's anger. Okay, that's sadness, whatever the thing is. And sometimes when people are talking to me about their stuff, I'll just get the words straight away. You've got a lot of sadness in you, and it's causing the pain, the heartache, because all those things, heartache and sadness and sorrow and loss and grief, they can actually cause physical pain in the heart. That's not because there's actually something wrong with your heart physically yet, but if you keep storing them up, it can actually turn into a physical thing. I feel that even then you can still release those emotions. Go and write your list, perhaps, of what you think are your predominant ones, and then do some work on letting them go, and also do the big one, which is letting the emotional pain from your aura. And you can do that from your aura, from your chakras, from your meridians, from your organs. You'll know where to go to let it go. And then your body, once it lets it go, the pain should dissipate. I think you'll enjoy doing this work because it's good not to feel emotional pain. And I think that's the one we mostly struggle with. And we get layers and layers of it. Don't feel you just do it once. Just keep going back, keep going back. We're like an onion, got all the layers. You have to go back and back and back. So I'll leave you with that for this week. And I'll send you lots of love and lots of light.